Welcome to the Yellow Trumpet. I am your host, Chituga, and today we shall be discussing the topic communication. Before I begin, I would like to suggest that you put your comments, your suggestions, and any other thing you have to say in the comment section so that we may or I may have to respond to them. So, by communication, what usually comes to mind is speech or conveyance of information. This is not wrong. However, if that information is not correctly or properly processed, it is futile. You are merely making sounds or gestures. So, what does it mean to communicate effectively? In my experience, I would say communication, the background of communication is listening. This is so because if you do not listen properly, whatever information, no matter how accurately conveyed or written down it is, makes no meaning. So the recipient of the information is just as important as the one transmitting the information. For instance, there is this, it's not a new topic, so there is this talk about listening to respond and listening to understand. When you listen to respond, you already have had a conversation in your head and you have made predictions on what a person is likely to say or what a person will say that you will jump on and begin to respond to. By communication, I mean listening to understand. That is, taking your time to consciously receive the information being transmitted to you, regardless of how, either in writing, in words, or by signs. Understanding that information and responding accordingly. Effective communication doesn't mean agreeing to whatever the other person has said. It also does not mean quarreling with what the other person has said. It means listening to what is being said, provided you have the time to listen. If you do have the time, spare it. Listen. And then engage accordingly. What do I mean by engage accordingly? What is the proper way of engaging information received? Well, that depends on the circumstances. It depends on the particular situation. Someone says something lovely at me, bless. It's a wonderful thing. I'm impressed. Someone says something vile at me, bless. It's not a beautiful thing, yet you remain blessed. Why? Because I or you or we are in charge of our own minds. Boils back to our original message of the Yellow Trumpets, that we are in charge of our own mental capabilities and we will not set or allow ourselves to be used as a tool by others. We shall not make ourselves so easily controlled by another person's speech. That makes the person your remote. What I have said is easier to do with people you like. It becomes very effective when you are with persons who aren't particularly of good manners. Can you listen? When you listen, what will you learn? I have not asked you to take out a notebook to jot down anything. All I've asked for is that you consciously listen. Consciously listen to what is said on the news this evening or tomorrow morning. Consciously listen to what is said to you at the office. Consciously listen to what is said in class, to what is said by your parents, by your siblings. Listen, understand what is being said, and just for the sake of certainty, ask if your understanding of what is said is actually what is meant. You see, whatever sound a person makes in the name of speech, you are the one who makes meaning of it. You hear the sound, based on your training, you understand that off, come, go, run. You make meaning of these sounds based on your training and your experience with these people, with living in society, or your experience with the language. Why is this topic important? It is important because we are a social society. It is important because the spirit of the republic requires that its citizens, the citizens of Nigeria, have their say. It is important because in having your say, there will be multiplicity of says. And if not adequately addressed or handled, there might be a breakdown of law and order. There will be misunderstanding. Your ability to navigate the rough seas of misunderstanding and come to terms with the fact that though a person may not have properly said what they ought to have said, perhaps they are not in charge of their emotions as they ought to be, you have a choice. You are in charge of your emotions. You are an individual, a being of your own. You are the yellow trumpet. Understand this. Flowers don't argue. Flowers are beautiful. The yellow trumpet is a beautiful nectar-filled flower. You ask the bees, they tell you. There is not a best and a worst moment. There is your moment. I understand that what I am saying to you is difficult. That when you are embarrassed, you respond with grace. That when you are harassed, you respond with grace. That when you are greeted, complimented, you also respond with grace. See yourself as the base, and remember that the base of communication is listening. So calm down, take your time to listen and make meaning. Again, this is the Yellow Trumpet. I am Chituga Chinda. Do have a wonderful day. Thank you.